Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is the Mental Wellness channel with Waihiga. If you're new here, I hope that you stick around and take a listen to what I have to share. Today, I want to talk about how I stopped smoking. Let's get into it. Before I talk about how I stopped smoking, I have to tell you about how I started smoking. So I want to talk about that briefly and then tell you how I stopped. When I was younger, there was a family member who used to smoke, and I remember watching them smoke, and they looked like they had the time of their lives. They would smoke and they would drink, and they just looked so animated and they looked so happy. And I thought, they look really happy doing this stuff. It must be really nice. This is obviously in my child brain. So when I hit teen years and I was discontented, irritable, and just not happy with my life, I was restless. Things like alcohol, things like cigarettes were the low-hanging fruit that I reached out for. Some people ran to boys, like some of my friends, or some young people, maybe you guys, ran to boys or ran to relationships. I found my solace in substances, specifically alcohol and specifically smoking cigarettes, nicotine. I remember buying my first pack of cigarettes. I was 15 years old. And I bought Dunhill Marlboro. No, Dunhill, they were the green ones, the menthols. Yeah. And I went behind the house and I lit that baby up and I smoked it, and I got the biggest head rush of my life. I nearly passed out from the mere head rush. And after the coughing and the head rush, I realized, this is why that person, that family member smokes. 'Cause it just feels so good. All my problems, all my anxieties, all my depressions, every little thing and anxiety that I had at the age of 15 just left my body. And I felt as light as a cloud, and I felt happy. I remember feeling like this is a good solution. Smoking. I understand why people do this. So whenever I could go out to a party, whenever I could go out to the mall, wherever I could go out to a club or something, I would always smoke because it made me look older and I could get into the club and stuff like that. And I taught myself how to smoke in the sense that I would keep the smoke in so that I don't choke, so that I get better and better at it. By the time I was 17, I could smoke comfortably, which is something I used to be very proud of. I was experienced. I remember telling myself, by the time I'm 25, I'm gonna give this all up. I'm gonna stop smoking. I'm gonna stop drinking. Actually, no, I never said I'll stop drinking, but I definitely said I will stop smoking, because nothing was attractive about a woman smoking. Nothing at all. Nothing was attractive about that. I remember that. And I remember thinking, if I want to have children, if I want to have kids, I can't be smoking. So I made a pact with myself. At the age of 25, I'm going to quit smoking. It's just a decision that I'm going to make, and I'll stop. Just the way I started, I'm going to stop. And the years came and went. And I would smoke normally when I was drinking. And the more I drank, the more I smoked. There were nights I would get really inebriated, and the most I would smoke is, let's say, 10 cigarettes in a night. But the turning point with my smoking came when I was separated from alcohol. So if you don't know, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I have 6.5 years in recovery. Only by the grace of God. So 6.5 years ago, God separated me from alcohol. And when I stopped drinking, the cigarettes went up. Food went up. All binge eating went up. Watching TV went up. Exercise went down. All those things, all the good things for me went down, and all the bad things went up, because my body was in such shock. Like, I can't believe you're not giving us the fuel we've been running on for the past 10 years, which was alcohol. By that point, I was smoking about 3 cigarettes a day, roughly. When I stopped drinking, I went up to 10 cigarettes a day. And then I remember looking at people who used to smoke 2 packs a day and judging them and being like, oh, ugh, I'll never become like you. Like, that is disgusting. That is disgusting. You know, it's like the pot calling the kettle black. I think that's how that saying goes. I'm smoking 10 cigarettes a day, and I'm there judging a person who is smoking 2 packs a day, which is 40 cigarettes a day. But I was still like, ugh, I'll never get to that point. That is so nasty. But soon enough, I went from 10 cigarettes to 12 to 15 to I was smoking a pack a day. And that is expensive. It's bloody expensive. Not only is it expensive, it weighs on you. The smoke weighs on you. If you try to walk fast, if you try to run, I mean, it literally feels like your chest is burning. If you try to do any sort of cardio, it feels like your chest is on fire. So trying to do exercise, having an exercise program and trying to smoke at the same time, it just didn't work for me. And anyways, at the time, smoking used to suppress my appetite. So I wouldn't eat that much until my appetite kicked in, like when I was 3 years sober. So because I got on antidepressants, that's another story for another video. So when I got on the antidepressants, I gained like another 20 kgs. I was craving all sorts of nonsense. And then you add the cigarettes. I just got to a point where I couldn't move. I was so uncomfortable. I felt so heavy and I was heaving all the time. And then I used to have these spells where I would sleep, I would go to sleep, and in the middle of my sleep, I would light up a cigarette and smoke while I was sleeping. I know that's not possible, but it's possible. Trust me. That's how addicted to cigarettes I was. I would smoke in my sleep, and I would always come to, like, I'd wake up. I can almost compare it to someone who does night eating. If you're one of those people who hides food under your pillow or under your bed, and then it's midnight and you're really sleepy or you're still sleeping, you open up the Oreos and then you start eating them. So in your dreams, you feel like you're eating, but in actual life, in reality, you're literally eating food. So I'd be dreaming that I'm smoking, or I'd be craving a cigarette in my sleep. And I'm literally still asleep, but my hands and my body would know all the mechanics. At this point, I wasn't living at home, because I wouldn't be able to get away with that behavior in the house. My body knew all the mechanics. So my hands would reach for the lighter, for the cigarette, light it up. My body knows what to do. And I would smoke while still asleep. I'm waking up halfway when the cigarette is halfway done. That's when I'm coming to, like, oh my gosh. I honestly think that's how people burn themselves to death, or that's how people burn down the house and stuff like that. Because I used to smoke. I'm just thinking about how crazy that is. I used to always wake up halfway through a cigarette. And this is when I was sober. So I can't even imagine the things I used to do when I was drunk or when I was still drinking. That was that. When I realized I was doing that, like I was smoking in my sleep, I was like, yeah, this is a bit disturbing, right? And if you know me, I'm a person who loves perfume. I love smell. I love to smell good. And that cigarette smell does not smell good. It really doesn't smell good. So I started getting convinced. For a long time, I defended my smoking. I was like, I smoke. I'm proud of my smoking. As long as I quit liquor, as long as I stopped drinking, nobody can tell me anything. Nobody can tell me anything. I'm not perfect. I'm a human being, and that's what I do. That's how it is, This is my last vice, and nobody's gonna take my last vice from me. But situations kept happening where this cigarette smoking kept being brought to my attention. And then during COVID, I had to move home, like for some months, and then that didn't work out well because of the smoking. And there were days I legitimately tried to stop smoking. Like I literally broke the cigarettes in half, threw them in the toilet. And then 3 hours later, I'm trying to reassemble the broken pieces together from the trash. Because some I threw in the toilet, others I threw in the trash. So I'm there at 5 a.m. trying to reassemble broken cigarettes together from the dustbin. Or I've gone out to the kiosk to wait for Mamba Wamboy at 5 a.m. in the morning to wait for the kiosk to open because I'm fiending for a cigarette. Because the night before I threw out all my stash. That's when I realized I'm deeply addicted to nicotine. I'm deeply addicted to cigarettes and I can't stop. I can't stop on my own will, and it's become a problem. It's become a really big problem. I went to meetings, recovery meetings for nicotine addiction, and it didn't work for me for some reason. I don't think I was being honest enough about wanting to stop. I still believed that I had a right to use nicotine because I had self-sacrificed and I had given up drinking. So at least I had a right to smoke. I had at least one thing, right, that I could keep with me. Everything changed when I went to church. When I started going to church and I met the people I do Bible study with, and I met the elders in there, and they started praying for me, and I told them, I would go to Bible study and I would tell them, I'm a smoker. After this, I'm going to go back home and I'll smoke and I'll do the homework smoking. And they used to tell me, you're going to stop smoking in the name of Jesus Christ. You just watch. It started something. It really started something, because I would smoke on the balcony and I'd be saying prayers and I'd start telling God. For the first time, I had a desire. I had a desire not to smoke anymore. And it was actually an honest desire. And anybody who's in recovery knows that that is the beginning of recovery. When you have an honest desire not to use anymore, when you have an honest desire not to drink anymore, when you have an honest desire not to smoke anymore, that is the turning point of your recovery. I stopped making excuses. I stopped seeing the benefits of smoking. And I started saying, God, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And I cried out to God many times. And finally, November 27th, 2022, I think I had one of my final cigarettes. At the time, God gave me a way out. He showed me, you can stop smoking. I'll help you stop smoking. You can use nicotine pouches or patches in the meantime, which is what I did. I used them for a whole year until the 19th of December, 2023. And then I got off nicotine completely. So I'm off nicotine, everything. The last time I had a cigarette was the 21st of July, 2023. I was having a really bad day and I thought I was going to relapse. So I thought, you know what, instead of drinking, let me just smoke a cigarette. Let me start there. And I did. And it was awful. It was awful. It didn't work anymore. There was no head rush. It took away my depression, it took away my anxiety, it took away everything. All I was left was with a bad taste in my mouth. I smelled bad and I felt awful. And that's when I realized God has truly done for me what I could not do for myself. Not only has He taken away the desire to smoke, He's taken away what it used to do for me. And that's huge, because it used to do something for me. It used to calm me. It used to soothe me. I used to think it was helping me. There's a reason why people smoke. People don't just smoke to smoke. It calms you. It gives you that false sense of, I'm okay. But when I smoked that day, for that last time, everything I used to get in a cigarette was no longer there. And I thank my Father above in heaven that He gave me that last opportunity to experience that. And I haven't craved nor wanted to smoke ever since that day. So how I stopped smoking is by taking it to the feet of Jesus Christ. That's how I stopped. Nothing is as powerful as doing that. In my opinion, nothing has worked. I don't have any cravings. I don't have any thoughts of going back. I don't work a program to not smoke. I am just done. And that was merely by the power and the grace of God. It was people who prayed for me in Bible study. It was Christians who stood up for me when I didn't believe that God could take away this awful addiction. And He did. It was the worst addiction I had. I think it was worse than alcoholism. I was so enslaved to it. And he changed my heart and he took it away. He broke the chain. And if you want to be free from smoking, from anything really, you can be. All you have to do is get on your knees and beg Jesus Christ to save you. And he will. So please like this video if you've learned anything. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you're thinking. Like, share, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so that every time I upload a video, you will be notified. Follow me on socials. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook. Until the next video, see you guys.